If you were to create the perfect basketball fable, it might begin in a small town in Indiana, where young boys grow up with a ball in their hands, a basket out back, and dreams of glory in their hearts. And there would be one boy who would continue to practice long after the others had gone home. And in those lonely hours as he honed his skills, he would find the essence of the game, and in many ways, of himself. He would play with the passion of the underdog, the purity of tradition, and a vision that was his alone. He would touch the hearts of all those who watched him play, and leave behind a sense of wonder and a legend.
The fans have poured into Salt Lake City in record numbers, and they are infected with basketball fever. Those who believe in magic and those who appreciate the beauty of a rare bird have come to see basketball's best and witness the crowning of a new national champion.
It was the most celebrated confrontation in college basketball history. It was the improbable Indiana State Sycamores and their quiet leader, Larry Bird.
You know, it means so much to me just to even be here that we're going to give it all we got, and we're just going to try our hardest to win.
Versus the powerful Michigan State Spartans and their charismatic star, Earvin Magic Johnson.
It's a dream come true, and like I said, it's an awful important game, and just hope we play up the part and win the game.
Bird had become a national sensation as he led the unknown Sycamores to an unbeaten season and transformed them into college basketball's miracle team. But in this final game, Magic and his Spartans would rudely usher them off center stage.
Look at Earvin Magic Johnson, Michigan State University, national champions, 1979.
Indiana State's time in the spotlight was over. But for Larry Bird, it was just beginning. He had been chosen by the legendary Boston Celtics to be the savior of their proud tradition.
Everything's starting to fall into place. I hope you all realize this. We got Larry, one or two little moves, and we're ready to go.
Having finished in last place the season before, the Celtics were hoping that this 22-year-old basketball wonder boy from the cornfields of Indiana could somehow begin the resurrection of their fallen dynasty. But he would do more than even they could have imagined.
Shake loose to Larry Bird. Bird, beautiful pass to Ford.
Ford, a three-point shot. Bird, a rebound, and a basket, and he's fouled. Bird, tremendous instinct for the offensive board that time.
Celtics have got 3 seconds, 2.
Bird, a runner.
It's good! Yes, indeed! 28 seconds, Bird, slap pass to Archibald.
Ahead to Henderson, to Bird on the cut. Beautiful! Beautiful!
Leading the Celtics to the largest single-season turnaround in NBA history, Bird would capture Rookie of the Year honors and revitalize both the franchise and its fans.
Larry steps in, brings in this chemistry, this charisma, and got us back on the winning track.
Bird with the steal behind the back to Nate Archibald, back to Bird.
Bird was the team's new cornerstone, and the Celtics would build around him. Adding center Robert Parrish and rookie forward Kevin McHale, Boston was ready to once again make a run at the championship. And in only his second season, Bird was ready to lead the way.
Jones puts it on the floor. We're down to 6. Bird in the corner, double fake, jumper. It's good! Larry Bird hits it with 2 seconds left.
I think we all had the confidence in Larry that he gonna come through for us because he was our go-to guy.
Bird had wasted little time in joining the ranks of the NBA's preeminent superstars, but in the conference finals, the reigning member of that group would quickly serve notice that the road to the championship would not be as easily traveled. Dr. J would stake his 76ers to a commanding 3-1 series lead, and it seemed as if the stunned Celtics would be forced to wait another year in their quest to reclaim championship glory. But Bird would respond with a confidence that belied his inexperience. Playing with ferocious determination, he would lead one of playoff history's most dramatic comebacks as the Celtics clawed their way back to even the series at 3. Now, it was the Sixers who were reeling, and Bird would deliver the knockout blow.
Bird coming to the left. Stop and pop off the glass. It's gone! Boston leads 91-89. Bobby Jones is going to put the ball on the flag. And the pass hits the top of the backboard. And it's over! They won 3 in a row. They came from 3 of them down, and they have won the series. It's all over.
Bird had brought the finals back to Boston Garden. And now he looked to raise the 14th championship banner to its hallowed rafters.
Larry Bird. That follows his own shot. Oh, what a ball. As soon as he shot that ball, Louis Boy, Henderson broke it up. There's Bird again. Larry Bird with a steal. Henderson back to Bird. Beautiful. Look at this crowd.
The Houston Rockets could only helplessly watch as the Celtics methodically eliminated them in 6 games, led by a determined Larry Bird. In just 2 years, this young Hoosier had taken Boston from last place to an NBA championship, fulfilling their wildest dreams.
It's all over. The Boston Celtics have won the World Championship in 1981, and they have become the 14th flag winners for the Boston Garden.
But even though Bird had captured the hearts of his new city, in his own heart, he still belonged in many ways to the country.
We also would like to thank you as a team for supporting us throughout the year. It's been a great honor to be out here. There's only one place I'd rather be, French Lick. Thank you.
To his adoring fans, Bird was like a savior from a foreign land, a hero shrouded in mystery.
He looked like some hillbilly coming out of the woods or something. He always wore these overalls and a cap and all that type of thing.
Somewhere, somebody went into a cave in French Lick, Indiana, and there was a block of ice, and they chipped away, and out popped this prehistoric basketball player, Larry Bird.
Personally, I didn't believe there was a place called French Lick. I just could not believe the kid was from French Lick. But he had very, very strong roots at home.
With Larry Bird's growing fame, French Lick had become an almost mythical symbol of basketball's heartland. And located in rural Indiana with a population of just over 2,000, it fit the image well. It is a place where people lead an uncomplicated lifestyle and share a deep-rooted passion that has spanned the generations. In Indiana, basketball is tradition. For Hoosiers, the state tournament is a time-honored ritual. The State University is a revered basketball institution, and the state's best players are immortalized in history. Born on December 7, 1956, the fourth of Joe and Georgia Bird's 6 children, Larry Joe Bird grew up playing basketball as much as any other Indiana schoolboy. But with Joe often on the road looking for work, and Georgia waitressing long hours at local restaurants, Larry got his introduction to the game from older brothers Mike and Mark.
I did tag along. It's not that they called me and said, come on, let's go play ball. They sort of brushed me off all the time because they was 3 and 4 years older than I was. So it was a struggle. Anytime you have bigger brothers, it's a struggle just to hang around with them.
As Larry started high school, he watched Mark become a star on the Springs Valley team.
At school, everybody tell me my bigger brother was a great player and I can't wait to grow up and try to be like him. And you can see he was proud of how he played on a certain night, and I sort of wanted the same feeling.
Soon, Larry began testing his own abilities.
He was just an average basketball player at that time. But there used to be a basketball court halfway up the hill. And you would always, I can remember seeing him down there shooting at that basketball in the rain. You know, out there shooting a basketball in the rain and just practicing by himself.
I had a couple friends I played with a lot, but I was picking up on things that I thought that were relative simple moves that they had a hard time with, and that's when things started clicking a little bit for me.
Making the varsity as a sophomore, Bird saw his hours of practice paying off. His focus was narrowing.
We didn't have a lot when we grew up, and basketball, when it came into my life, that's all I did.
By his junior season, both Bird and his command of the game had grown dramatically.
He started out as a sophomore. He was 6'1", 135 pounds. As a junior, he was up probably 6'5". And he was our best passer and our best rebounder and our best defensive player, and not necessarily the leading scorer, but he did all those other things that made people better.
It was just like, I don't know, magic wand had touched him or a miracle had happened, because we'd never seen him play like that.
By his senior year, Bird stood 6 feet 7 inches tall and was dominating his opponents. Averaging 30 points and 20 rebounds a game, he was also attracting his share of college recruiters. But there was little doubt as to which school Larry would choose. He would accept a scholarship to attend Indiana University. And so, in the fall of 1974, the pride and joy of French Lick and Springs Valley High School carried the hopes and expectations of his community with him, north to Bloomington, where he was to live every Indiana schoolboy's dream and play for the home state Hoosiers. The next 2 years would be the best of times for the Indiana basketball team, as they would lose only one game and capture a national championship. However, they would do it without Larry Bird. He had dropped out after 24 days and hitchhiked home to French Lick.
I think that the size of the school and not really having, that many friends there and not having a lot or coming from a lot, I think he just got a little discouraged and a little depressed and bailed out without really consulting anyone.
I think he probably felt scared that he disappointed maybe his family, maybe the community.
My mom took it pretty tough, and she wasn't too happy for a long period of time, but it was a decision I made. It was something I had to live with, and I thought about it before I did it, and it's just, I would like to stay there, but it just wasn't for me.
Now back in familiar surroundings, Bird was soon drawing a steady paycheck, working for the streets department.
Some days we picked up trash once a week. The next days we might be cleaning the streets. And the guys I was working with were great guys. I knew them all my life, and I'm still grateful that they gave me the job.
Bird had returned to an environment and a routine that suited him. But if he'd found comfort in returning home, it would be short-lived. On February 3rd, 1975, Larry's father, Joe Bird, committed suicide.
I think that Larry learned a lot off his father. I think that cared for him deeply. I know he really loved his father a lot.
There's nothing you can do about something like that. I mean, he chose the way he wanted to die, and he did it, and it's just unfortunately that some people have problems like that, but I wish he was here, but he's not. So I had to go on with my life and try to make the most of my life, just like the rest of my family has, and that's the way we dealt with it.
But the Bird family would not be left to quietly tend to their affairs, as the following months would again see hordes of recruiters descend upon French Lick. Among them was Bill Hodges, the assistant coach of the Indiana State Sycamores, who showed up at the Bird household uninvited, but undaunted.
His mother ran me off the first time I knocked on the door. She said that Larry had seen all the coaches that he wanted to see and he wasn't going back to school. And she just wished people quit bothering him.
I've already been through 50 or 60 recruiters, and I've heard all the BS that they throw. So Coach Hodges was so persistent. He always tried to get to the family. When one member of the family tell him get lost, he'd go to the next member. But I told him, I said, I'll let you know if I want to go to Indiana State, I'll call you. And I got tired of seeing the guy, and then finally we sat down and talked about it, and I just decided on Indiana State.
He had a friend named Kevin Carnes that Larry was telling me how Kevin would have been a great player if he'd have gone to college, you know, and he hadn't gone, and he was married, and he was really good. And I said, well, if you don't go to college, they're going to be saying that about you someday, that you would have been great if.
1 year after leaving Indiana University, Bird was giving college a second chance. There would be no what-ifs. He was off to Terre Haute. And this time, there was no turning back. In the world of Indiana basketball, Indiana State University was barely on the map. But for Larry Bird, it would be a place that felt like home.
Terre Haute is like a small town. It's not a small town. It's got 100,000 people or so, but people treat you like it's a small town. Everybody knows you. And I think Larry felt like it was kind of an extension of French Lick.
As he sat out his first year as a transfer, Larry also came to feel at ease in the Indiana State basketball program. And when he finally did hit the court in the fall of 1976, now fully grown at 6 feet 9 inches tall, he was ready to bring the unheralded Sycamores national prominence and take the state of Indiana by storm.
Wherever Hoosiers gather, they no longer talk of weather. Indiana has a new state bird. Now his claim to fame is just the way he plays the game. Indiana has a new state bird.
You tell us your name, although I don't think we need to ask.
Brad Miley.
Brad Miley. You're not Brad Miley.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
It's not the Cardinal now. Hey, Larry, take a bow. Indiana has a new state bird.
And you're from French Lick, Indiana.
You said it all when you said it.
Yeah.
From out of old French Lick on up to ISU, he came to play some basketball.
What position do you play with the team?
Well, as you know, I had to do everything, so I play all positions. Now we don't know a thing about what the future will bring, but for now we're gonna spread the word. The fighting Sycamores are racking up the scores, and Indiana has a new state bird. Indiana has a new state bird.
Larry had become a basketball phenomenon, a big man who could shoot and pass like a guard, playing for a little-known rural college and resembling a 20th century Huckleberry Finn. He seemed as if out of a storybook, and quite naturally, the national media began to flock to Terre Haute.
People were coming down from everywhere, on the networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, but he didn't have a lot to say. Not that he couldn't say it, it's just that he was a little quiet, a little backward.
All of a sudden you went from this quiet guy with his friends to people looking over his shoulders, reporters following you around everywhere you went, people taking pictures, and it was something that I didn't like, and it was tough for me to deal with.
Bird would soon have more to deal with than just his newfound notoriety. Having sat out a year as a transfer, he was eligible for the 1978 NBA draft, despite being only a junior. Chosen by the Celtics, he faced a difficult choice of gaining instant financial security or returning to Indiana State for his senior season.
He wasn't going to go with Boston. See, money at that time, money was foreign to him. You know, he made $6 an hour. That's pretty darn good.
It really wasn't that tough because I wanted to get my education while I was there because I knew I would never go back. You know, the one thing about athletes is they always say, well, I'll go back next year and do it, but they never do.
Bird was staying put at Indiana State, but nevertheless, the season's prospects did not seem very bright. Head coach Bob King had suffered a stroke and was replaced by Bill Hodges on the sidelines. The Sycamores would begin the 78-79 campaign with a rookie head coach, a group of role players, and one determined All-American to lead them.
Every offense we ran, the first thing we wanted to happen was Larry to touch the ball. And that was our goal, was get it in his hands 75% of the time that we had it. And boy, you get the ball in his hands, he did a tremendous job with it.
Bird and his Sycamores would defy the odds as they stunned the college basketball world by posting the best record in the nation.
The way we were beating teams was just on pure guts and determination. So we just got in our minds that we weren't going to get beat.
With Bird providing the inspiration, Indiana State ignored their limitations.
By Larry practicing and playing 100%, you know, he demanded that you play 100%. He demanded that you take a charge or you dive after that ball because he would do the same thing.
And he missed it. Miley has it with 2 seconds. Heaton half the length of the court. Got it! It's right! He made it! He made this shot! I don't believe it! From half and it's fine! I don't believe this.
Pulling out improbable victory after improbable victory, the Sycamores would finish the season undefeated, earning their school's first NCAA tournament berth and becoming the country's Cinderella team.
Everything just fell into place. It was not only good for the college, it was good for the community, and it was good for the players. Everybody involved. It was just something that happens once in life.
The Sycamores' fairy tale story would continue in the NCAA playoffs as they knocked off the Hokies of Virginia Tech and the Sooners of Oklahoma. Cinderella was still at the ball, and versus Arkansas in the regional finals, midnight was nowhere in sight.
7 seconds to go. Reed gets it to Heaton. Heaton the clutch. Left hand! He made it! Bob Heaton keeps Indiana State undefeated. They're on to the Final Four. It's destiny for these guys. Jimmy made a 50.
How good does it feel? You're going to the Final Four.
I don't know what to say. We're here. We finally made it.
Larry had made it. He had watched Indiana celebrate a national championship without him. Now, he would lead his Sycamores into Salt Lake City as part of one of the most celebrated Final Four in college basketball history. Facing favored DePaul, he would play his best game of the tournament, hitting an incredible 16 of 19 field goals.
What a catch! What a catch! Drops in another. What a touch! A phenomenal display. State has won it.
The Sycamores were headed for the finals. Their dream season was nearing an end. But for Larry Bird, it would be a crossroads that in many ways crystallized everything that had brought him so far from home. It was the end of a magical season and the beginning of a new journey. It was the final game of a 5-year basketball odyssey and a final step into the national spotlight. It was Larry Bird's greatest defeat and the start of his greatest challenge. When Larry Bird arrived at Boston Garden, he found himself in basketball's holiest cathedral, at a time when its fortunes had never been lower and its expectations had never been higher. But to outward appearances, this gangly country boy seemed ill-equipped to fulfill his role as savior.
It's just the kid. I mean, he doesn't look all that good, you know, and there's talk about how slow he was. He couldn't jump, he couldn't defend.
I think when Larry first arrived, everybody thought, well, here's a kid now that I don't know if he's going to be able to play in this league.
But as Boston would soon find, Bird's talents could not be measured by appearances alone.
Larry Bird felt there wasn't anything he couldn't do on a basketball floor. And, you know, when you have that kind of confidence, there's nothing that you can't do.
He was the most self-motivated player I ever saw.
With an inexhaustible resourcefulness, Bird would display a unique mastery of the game that would quickly convince his skeptics.
It's just an uncanny sense, and he'll do things out there you just say, and it just leaves you shaking your head and smiling.
Although he's still going for those fakes.
Larry would make a bounce pass behind the back on the fast break. And you say, where's this ball going?
Collins going against Bird. Behind the back to Tiny. Beautiful.
He's got the smarts.
Nice. Give it go.
He was no country bumpkin.
And then Bird goes inside. Out of the corner.
You know, Larry's great at playing that. You know, come into my web said the spider that fly.
Here's a steal by Bird. Just walked right into the passing lane.
It's like watching a cat play with a mouse.
Now they clear aside for Larry. Fakes it. Bird. There's the play of the game, right there.
He's so intelligent. He has eyes all around his head.
Larry's going to slow it out. No, it goes over the head to McHale. Save that one, guys. Offensive board on the cut to Bird. Swings through, little reverse. Layup is good. How did he make that?
Bird was a basketball virtuoso. He was a showstopper, capable of giving brilliant individual performances.
Bird is putting on.
But perhaps his greatest talent was his ability to orchestrate for his teammates.
He created an unselfish attitude on the team as far as looking for the open man. If the guy's open, the guy's going to get the ball for the open shot.
You get so many easy baskets because he draws so many defensive attention, and you find yourself all alone in the basketball or contested layup.
He understood how to get Kevin and Robert shots, and Cedric Maxwell. And he also knew when any of these individuals were not getting enough shots in the game or were not involved in the offense, and he'd make a concerted effort to get them involved.
When you've got a Bird out there, the other four guys know if you just move and get in the right place, that's your only responsibility. You know that ball's going to be there. It's beautiful. You get four other guys overachieving. You make them better basketball players.
The thrill and the beauty of the Celtics playing was the ball moving from one side of the floor to the other side, 3 or 4 crisp passes and an easy shot resulting from that.
That's passwork. That's teamwork.
And Larry brought that back to the Boston Celtics.
Larry Bird's first 4 years in the league had been nothing short of miraculous. He'd been named Rookie of the Year. He'd been a first-team All-Star every season. And he had led his Celtics from the cellar to a championship. And though Boston's 1982 and 83 seasons had ended in playoff disappointment, Bird had still far exceeded all expectations, except his own.
We had a team there when we won in '81. I thought we was going to win 5 or 6 in a row because we had that much talent. But we just didn't do the things that it took for us to win a championship.
In those same 4 years, Bird's college rival, Magic Johnson, had reached the finals 3 times and won 2 championships, establishing his Lakers as the league's most dominant team. It was a situation that did not sit well with Larry Bird.
This man will not accept losing. He's like a guy who would pick a locomotive up and with ropes, pull a locomotive. He'll endure anything to win.
From the beginning of the 1984 season, Bird's determination was clear. While he always possessed a tireless work ethic, now he displayed it with an unmistakable message to his teammates.
You know, he was the first guy to practice, last guy to leave. It was very hard for us as players to look over and see Larry doing drills by himself for an hour and a half after practice, 2 hours after practice, for us not to pay the price.
When you get your, quote, superstar to work at a high level in practice, everybody else falls in line because this is the man, and he will work. And Larry worked every day.
It was an attitude that would drive the Celtics all season long.
Look out, Bird's in the crowd trying to get a loose ball back, and by golly, he does it.
If he's willing to sacrifice himself for a ball, then, you know, everybody else should be ready too.
Bird over the top and through the scorer's table as he tried to get by.
Or if he's willing to take that gut-wrenching charge that's coming down the middle, you know, then everybody else should be willing to.
Oh, man. Here's Hustle at about $1 million a year.
Everybody follows in the step.
This ball comes to Buckner. Saved by Maxwell, who wipes out Billy after it. Bird hits. 2 standing ovations already by this huge crowd.
To their advantage, Bird on the drive, slapped away by Vincent. Bird gets it back. Saves it. Nice pass to Maxwell. What a play.
Oh, Robinson the forward, and the Bullets can take the lead. Bird the steal, takes it himself for two. What a play by Bird.
Kellogg shoots and he's short with it and hard, and the rebound to Bird. Look at that pass.
Oh, what a show.
Great play.
Oh, what a show. Forget about it.
With Bird setting the tone, the Celtics attacked every opponent with savage intensity.
On the cut, McHale.
One great play after another, and this place is wild.
It was an approach that would help Boston earn the best record in the league. And Bird MVP honors.
Plenty of time, spins on day. Runner is good.
84 Larry was just awesome. I mean, it was just unbelievable how he could improve his game. Yeah, you never thought that he could take it to a different level, and he was able to do that.
The story of the postseason would be no different, as the Celtics steamrolled through the early rounds of the playoffs. But meanwhile, out west, another story was unfolding. Magic Johnson and the Lakers were also cruising through the playoffs, and as Boston closed out the conference finals, a feeling of destiny began to grip the basketball world.
Gets it to Edwards on the roll. No, Nance and Kareem has got it. And it's Boston, here we come.
You know, we were the favorites, and we made our way. They won the East, we won the West. So it's like everybody just get ready, sit back, and let's enjoy it.
Since their historic first meeting, they had always been linked. Each had revived the fortunes of his franchise, and together they had revitalized the league. But never before had they met in the NBA Finals, and the whole country seemed to be buzzing with anticipation.
You know, you walk around and everybody is talking about this series. We had more writers and TV people and made it so big. I mean, everything was written was Bird versus Magic, Magic versus Bird, that whole thing. And it was so intense, so intense.
Fate had presented Bird with the most dramatic of challenges. With the whole nation watching, he would seek to earn redemption for the Celtics and revenge for himself.
Playing against Magic, yeah, that was something that I always dreamed about since he beat us in college.
But as the series began, it seemed less like a dream than a familiar nightmare.
Missing, rebounding is Magic, Cooper, and the fast break going to town.
In Game 1, the Lakers' vaunted Showtime offense was in high gear as they stole the Celtics' home court advantage.
They are running the Celtics off the Boston Garden court.
And as they humiliated the Celtics in Game 3 in LA to take a 2-1 series lead, it looked as if Magic would once again celebrate at Bird's expense.
This has to be one of the most decisive routes in championship game history.
With his season-long quest bitterly dying before him, the normally private Bird made his feelings shockingly public.
Well, we just play like a bunch of women tonight. You know, we got some great players on this team, but we don't have the players with the heart sometimes that we need. And today, when you see Magic slapping high fives and guys going behind their back and shooting layups on us all day long, it seems that something, somebody would try to put a stop to it. And until we get our hearts where they belong, we're in trouble.
Larry was frustrated. He was disappointed, as we all were, that we got blown out by 33 points on national TV. But when he said that guys play with no heart, I knew what would happen in the next game. I knew what would happen in that series. Guys would do anything.
Here's Kareem, outlet to Worthy, Rambis. Benches have emptied, and you knew this was going to happen. You could see it coming.
Bird had sounded the call to battle. The time for Lakers celebration was over.
He swings the elbow, and now it's Gillen and Larry Bird. Jaw to jaw.
It drew the team together, and I think that they all responded and said, yeah, hey, let's make sure that we aren't playing like sissies. Maybe we were, but let's make sure we're not going to continue to play like that.
With Bird's challenge ringing in their ears, the Celtics would play with ferocious abandon.
Harris fighting again, and the basket counts and a foul.
For 3 games, LA had scored at will. Now Boston would make them pay for every point. In this contest, the Celtics would set the tempo. LA would do no more running. Boston would make them stand and fight. With Bird and Magic each valiantly leading their teams, this epic struggle would remain deadlocked for 48 grueling minutes.
Great players like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson love to be in this situation.
And we go to overtime.
And as this dramatic showdown entered its final act, the spotlight narrowed to these 2 great rivals locked in an historic confrontation. Five years ago, they had stood together on center stage. Now, fittingly, in this long-awaited rematch, each would have a chance to claim victory.
Johnson misses them both. Bird the rebound, and the Celtics want a timeout. The Celtics now are left with 1 timeout in overtime, and despondent Magic Johnson goes to the bench. It'll be Boston ball, tie game.
Maxwell looking. Bird rotates in. Bird pops out. Avoids the steal. Gets it over to DJ. Bird goes right into the pivot. Now DJ holds the ball. Back into Bird. The ball away is gone. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Boston Celtics have evened this NBA World Championship Series at 2 games apiece. And those who are writing the obituary for the team that have won a record 14 NBA titles can just pause.
We're coming back. That's right. We're coming back. We'll be back.
The Boston Celtics are acting like they won a championship, and Tommy, for them, perhaps it has been as important as a championship.
The Celtics had reclaimed their pride and taken control of the series. Playing 2 of the next 3 games at Boston Garden, they were ready to put the Lakers away.
Here's Magic off the mark. Lakers had several chances, and here's Larry Bird chucking down the court.
The championship was now within Bird's grasp, and he was not going to let it slip away.
Larry Bird. This game is Larry Bird's. I mean, he's doing everything.
The season would end as it had begun, with Bird willing Boston to victory.
What can you say?
No one believed that we could beat the Lakers that year. Absolutely no one believed it. But the fact of the matter is we believed in ourselves, and that was a lot because of the leadership Larry had.
The Boston Celtics are the NBA World Champions in a grueling 7-game series with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Larry Bird, congratulations. You were the most valuable player. Does this get you even with Magic for what happened between Michigan State and Indiana State all those many years ago?
We're professionals now, but I won this one for Terre Haute.
You won it for Terre Haute, I'll tell you that.
For Terre Haute, 1984 may have been about settling a debt, but for Boston, it was the consummation of a love affair. In this emotional season, more than ever, Bird had put his heart on his sleeve. And Boston fans had come to realize how much that heart resembled their own.
Well, basically, this town is a blue-collar town. You know, they believe in working hard, earning your keep. And that's the type of player Larry is. You know, Larry believes in hard work.
He gives the fans someone to say, yeah, identification.
Before he came, even the good years, we had a couple of thousand seats for sale all the time, you know. But after he came, you can't buy a ticket.
As they entered the 1985 season, the Celtics were again ready to follow their leader into battle.
We knew we had the best player in the world on our team. We knew Larry was, and no question about it, he was the best player in the world.
And their strategy was straightforward.
The game was very simple. Get the ball to Larry and get out of his way.
Williams has it. Williams to Bird again. Up fakes. Fires another three-pointer. Oh! Ties it up! 113 to 113!
Larry always said that I won. Besides, everybody in the building knew who the ball was going to anyway.
All right, here's Dennis. Gets it into Bird. Larry, a runner. Got it! Ball game's over. Boston wins.
The thing is, the one thing to know where it's going, but it's another thing to stop it.
DJ again to make the inbounds pass. The double team in Bird. Larry, fake, fall away. Hits it! Unbelievable.
Every night seemed to feature a new Bird exploit, including one against Atlanta that saw him shatter Boston's single-game scoring record.
I think it's the greatest shooting exhibition I've ever seen.
He was so good that night that the Hawks were giving each other 5.
He's unconscious. There's Bird. Bird, 14 seconds, he got fouled. He hit the shot. Bird has 60 points. Larry Bird scored 60 points. Look at the Boston players mob him.
With Bird at the top of his game, the Celtics seemed invincible. They would again compile the league's best record, and Bird would win his second MVP. He would not, however, win a championship. Hampered by an elbow injury, he would be unable to lead the Celtics past the Lakers in a rematch of the 1984 Finals.
You go through the season, you play hard, and you get in the playoffs, and you try to do the best you possibly can, but I just say that this series I didn't play up to my standards.
Did they want this game more than you?
No, I don't think so. We won the win. They just played better.
A season that had begun with infinite promise had ended with failed expectations. The fulfillment of that promise, however, would prove to be only temporarily delayed. For 2 seasons, the Celtics had leaned heavily on Bird's leadership. But in the process, they had changed. Now they were no longer simply led by Bird. They had become a team that was cast in his image. A seamlessly cohesive unit, they entered the 1986 season determined to recapture the championship that they had lost. From the start, the Celtics dissected opponents with deadly efficiency.
That's the Boston Celtics.
Bird just hit him with a screen, then gets it back to the head.
You know, we went out there with a job in mind, and we all knew what our jobs were. And when we went to work, it was like punching in the clock. You know, if I'm on the assembly line and my job is to put the radio knob on the radio, I'm putting the radio knob on the radio, and the other guy's putting in the buttons and putting on the antennas. And you know, Larry was the antenna man, and we were the button man.
For Bird, doing his job had never been more rewarding.
Bird.
With the addition of Bill Walton, who had been acquired through an off-season trade, Boston's arsenal was stocked, and Bird utilized it to devastating effect.
By Walton on the cutting Larry Bird.
I think what made that team so special was its ability to play any kind of style. You know, we could play the setup game, we could play the fast break game. We had great defense, great rebounding, and then if nothing was working, hey, we could always just give it to Larry, and he'd step back and shoot a 3.
As the Celtics dominated the league, it became clear that this season would not only be about a drive for a championship, but also about a journey into history. They would lose only 1 game in the Boston Garden all year, setting an NBA record for home court mastery. They would compile the second-best record in Celtic history, and Bird would join Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain as the only players to win 3 consecutive MVPs. The playoffs would be a mere formality, as the Celtics dropped only 1 game on their way to the finals. And even the championship series itself would be less a contest than a coronation.
Bird carries out the game plan, and the Rockets want to know what hit him.
Houston would quickly become a footnote, as Boston captured its 2nd title in 3 years and took its place as one of the greatest teams in NBA history.
Bird goes in a 3-point land.
I mean, I always felt that, and still feel that that's the best team I've ever seen in this league. I'm sure Magic's got a team he liked to throw up against it, but to me personally, I thought that's the best team ever assembled since I've been in the league.
16 out of 40, the greatest winning tradition. You did it with hard work and teamwork. You've earned it, it's yours, enjoy it.
Having helped raise his third championship banner in Boston Garden, Bird had also carved his place in history.
And I have been very blessed having coached some of the greatest that ever played the game. But if I had to start a team today, the greatest player and the one guy I would take would be Larry Bird.
While still in the midst of his career, Bird had already joined the select ranks of Celtic immortals.
Okay, Red, you want to say something?
What I want to say is, you know how it feels because you've been here before. Me, I haven't scored a point. You know?
But you kind of brought the guys here that scored the points.
Well,
so you're overpaid.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
But Bird and the Celtics would have little time to bask in their glory. The next season would see Boston decimated by injury.
Another injury problem for the champions. Will it ever end?
But with Bird stoking the flame, their competitive fires still burn brightly.
We just band together. We're not going to give up, no matter what the outcome was. That we was going to go down fighting.
Battling their way to the conference finals, Bird and the Celtics found themselves matched against the hungry young Pistons. And though they would somehow find the strength to play them to a standstill in the first 4 games, in the pivotal 5th contest, Bird would have to reach back for some vintage Celtic magic to rescue his teammates. As the Pistons seized control in the game's final seconds.
Seasting bumps him a couple of times. Isaiah nails it top of the key with 17 seconds to go, and the Celtics call time.
It's Detroit by 1, 17 seconds, so Boston goes for the final shot.
On the left it goes to Bird. Bird guarded by Mahorn. Drives around him. Goes on in. And the ball gets knocked out of bounds by no, they call it the other way.
When we lost the last opportunity to score by throwing the ball away, I was sure it was over.
Detroit ball with 5 seconds to go.
The game was over, and Detroit had won.
Thomas wants to get it in quickly.
Please, somebody come up with, this ball.
And now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right at 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the inbounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left. Oh my, this place is going crazy.
Oh, this is right up there with all the great ones that have been played. This is the one you look back on and kind of smile and say, yeah, foot was in the trap, but we snuck out of there somehow.
Bird steals it and gets it to Johnson at the buzzer. Oh, my!
Yeah, he made a great play, no question about it.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable!
They forgot about Larry Bird, that's all.
Bird had dealt the Pistons what would prove to be a fatal blow. And as the Celtics faced the Lakers in the finals, he would again struggle valiantly to lift his battered team. But while Boston would extend LA to 6 bitterly fought games, even Bird's magic would not be quite enough.
5 seconds to go. Magic with a hook shot, scores with 2.
Though the Celtics would surrender their title, they would not surrender their pride. Age and injury would conspire to prevent them from reaching the finals for the rest of the decade. But even without their championship mantle, Bird would keep them a team to be reckoned with.
I fear no one but Larry Bird, because if you keep it close and he has a chance to win it, he's going to win that game.
2 seconds left. The Bullets by 1. Aims to Bird. He gets a good shot in the Celtics winner. Incredible.
Larry Bird never quits and never says die, and he always feels that he has a chance to win the game.
Suns by 2. They throw to Bird. Here comes Bird. Puts it up. Counts the bucket. We're tied at 104. And Bird will go to the line for his 51st point.
Well, it's 2 points difference, and they're down 2. Bird will come up with a three-pointer. I mean, you keep waiting for it. You're waiting for it with bated breath.
2-point Maverick lead.
Bird's the man they want to have it. Yes, indeed.
Bird for 3. Yes! Larry Bird for 3 with 4 seconds to go. Celtics lead it by 1. What can you say about Larry Bird?
Imagine the arrogance, though. The wonderful arrogance of a man who needs 2 to tie or 3 to win, has the time to do either one, and says, let's roll the dice.
He wants every advantage, whether it be a technical advantage, a physical advantage, but more importantly, a psychological advantage.
I get a charge when I tell somebody on the opposing team that I'm going to hit the last second shot and then do it. That's what it's all about.
Tie game, 13 seconds to play. Celtics basketball.
During the timeout, I'm going through a play, and about that time, Larry steps in and says, Coach, why don't you just give me the ball and tell everybody to get out of the way? That's Larry. And when he wants the ball, he wants the ball. After the timeout, we walked back on the court, and then Xavier was guarding him. So he tells Xavier, he says, I'm getting the ball.
And I said, I know, I'm going to be waiting. And he said, I'm going to get it right here. I'm going to shoot it right in your face.
10 seconds. 5, and Bird has the basketball. Look out. Larry Bird just phenomenal the way that
And he came out, went right about that exact spot and shot a shot right in my face. And, you know, he was like, I didn't mean to leave 2 seconds on the clock. He wanted to shoot it with 0 seconds on the clock. I walked back to the sideline like, damn.
During the 1988 season, Bird had seemingly found every conceivable way to engineer victory. But perhaps it was in the conference semifinals in which he would be at his most resourceful. Facing elimination against the Hawks in Game 6, he would not only help stave off defeat, but would also launch the boldest of psychological assaults.
Well, they had their chance. You know, they had a big chance to beat us. I think now that we're going to come out and play like we did tonight, but we're going to be at home, and our shots are going to be dropping a little bit better, and we're going to be running a little bit faster. So I'd say Sunday's going to be a big win for the Celtics.
Despite Bird's brash words, the Hawks seemed unintimidated. And it would quickly become apparent that if Larry was to make good on his prediction, he would have to contend with a high-flying Dominique Wilkins, who would simply play the game of his life.
Bird now cuts free. Pretty Boston ahead. Here's Wilkins. That's what they must have. Cuts free. Left hands in for the field goal. That puts the Celtics back on top.
mano-mano duel. Bird versus Wilkins.
Dominique hits a 3. Ties it for Atlanta. With Bird again pulling up. Pretty Boston ahead.
It's a duel. Put down your saber.
Wilkins responds. It's Bird's turn. Comes up with a shot, and the Celtics lead.
Who's going to blink first?
And Dominique high off the glass. 3 for Bird. Larry Bird promised it, and he is delivering in this quarter with 18 points. This a critical trip for the Atlanta Hawks. This is a great defensive move by Bird as he steals the ball for the Celtics. Leads the Bird off the fake, improves his position, and the Celtics are up again.
One way or another, Bird kills you.
Another defensive stop, a must here for the Hawks. Johnson gets it into Bird, and Wilkins is there. Bird comes free. Bird for the win. You are watching what greatness is all about.
Sycamore and Bird over the shoulder.
Again and again throughout his career, Bird had managed to do the impossible.
Over the backbone!
Creating an aura of invincibility.
Bird. Drop one here quickly, 14. This is a tie for the money.
But perhaps it is the twilight of his career that provides the keenest insight into the essence of his greatness. As the 80s gave way to the 90s, age and injury would take their toll. But though his physical skills had begun to diminish, Bird showed he was still capable of carrying his team, sometimes by force of will alone. Not even the relentless assault of time could dim Bird's spirit.
I can remember when I first came in the league, Artis Gilmore told me one time, he played for Chicago, he said, if you expect to play a long time in this league, you better quit mopping up the floor. And I thought, well, he's crazy, because that's what basketball is all about. But getting a little bit older now and feeling the bangs and the bumps and bruises and all that, I can see where he's coming from, but I can't change my style of play. I got to play like that every night.
The challenges he faced had changed, but Bird had remained steadfastly the same.
And Larry still kind of comes in with that 22-year-old attitude about basketball.
Bird again on the other end. Short with the hook. Catlidge, a traffic rebound. Bird strips it, tips it. Yeah!
He was just a phenomenal teammate who could do anything and everything by himself, but always in the framework of the team.
I care about my teammates. I want to see my teammates do well. He personified that.
He's brought his values that he had in the 7th grade in French Lick, Indiana, and he stayed with them. I remember distinctly one summer calling him in. He was working out in Terre Haute, and I caught him in the boys' club there. And he called me back, and I said, Larry, I said, the president of Harvard called, and he wanted to know, would you be kind enough to address the freshman class on the values of having a college education? It'll only take you 10 or 15 minutes, to do so. He said, no. I said, well, also, Sports Illustrated wanted to put you on the cover, and they wanted you to take some pictures, and they said it wouldn't, take that much time. He said, no. I said, Life magazine also called. They want to just take pictures. They didn't want to do an interview. They'll run a 10-page spread on you, and they just want to follow you around and have your permission to take pictures. He said, no. He said, Mr. Wolf, he says, I thought you said this call was important.
Larry Bird grew up in French Lick, Indiana, with a ball, a basket, and a dream.
Around here, you learn to play by yourself or with a friend. And if you're going to make anything of yourself, you've got to do it on your own.
Practicing long after his friends had gone home, he would find the essence of the game, and in many ways, of himself.
I think Larry always looked at himself as a poor person, and this was his claim to fame. This was his opportunity to really show people, that he's as good as anyone else.
He has played with the passion of the underdog, the purity of tradition, and a vision that is his alone.
You look at people like MacArthur, who the war happens, and General Patton. There's a war for them to shine in. Larry was born to play basketball.
Touching the hearts of all those who have watched him play, he has left behind a sense of wonder and a legend.